All right, welcome to the Gateway API meeting for November 4th, not Key Fox Day. um, let
Fox
me,
Day Eve.
right.
I guess it probably is
It looks like we
BSAI.
have a pretty light agenda this week. And I should also add that next week is KubeCon, so one of us will try and remember to cancel the community meeting then in favor of what I hope will be several community meetings or similar things in person for those who are able to make it. I completely understand if you can't. I know times are
Do we
crazy.
have? Yes, we do have the
Um,
link to that doc. Okay, great.
yeah. But yeah, let's talk first about, well, okay, before I forget, this is a Kubernetes community meeting. Um, Please be nice to each other. Please follow Kubernetes code of conduct. And if you don't mind, we have a pretty light crowd today, but if you don't mind using Zoom's raise hand feature, that helps make sure we get to everyone who wants to say anything. It's an open agenda. It seems like we'll have plenty of time to cover any open topics if there's interest. And then one last note, if there's anyone new on the call that would like to introduce themselves, by all means, I would love to hear from anyone. No pressure, but
I think we're also going to need to go back to the plea to turn your cameras on so we're not just staring at black boxes.
that too. No pressure.
Anybody?
We've got it. We've got enough cameras. I don't know.
All
Cool. All
right.
right. Flynn, you're up.
Yeah, so we should probably talk about like doing another release. That seems like a fun thing to do or something like that. Um, I spent some time this morning going through and looking over some stuff. Actually, before I get too far into this, hey Rob, can you take a project that I have created in the Gateway API repo and make it public instead of private? Do you have that power?
I don't know if surely you do. If you don't,
I
I can.
do not seem to, which is weird.
Oh,
Well,
weird.
anyway, we'll take that offline. I was trying to make a shiny new project for the next release coming up so that we had a single place to go to look at it, and we will make that happen shortly. There are a couple of kind of immediate things about the next release coming up. Number one is I would like to pick and nail down a date that the next release will ship. My immediate thought when we started this whole journey was, oh, we should use something towards the end of January. And then I realized that we are about to lose a literal month between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
What
So, say again?
just just to clarify, what do you mean by next release? Because we have discussed monthly releases.
Sorry, the
I
next standard channel release with a semantic
okay,
version number,
just
which is
just
very,
making sure.
very likely, like surpassingly likely to be called 1.5, given what
Yeah,
is
sure, sure.
available to do stuff right now. We will talk about monthlies in a minute. But so at this point, I'm a little torn between the end of January and the end of February. And I would love to hear opinions if anybody has any.
I tend to lean towards end of February at this point, given that at least 1 month between now and then is going to be chewed up by holidays.
Yeah.
Um,
We have a thumbs up from Christine. We have an eye from Rob. Anybody else have opinions? In particular, is there anybody else who really, really hates the idea of February instead of January? Going once, going twice, sold to the people with thumbs up. All right, so it's going to be February 25th. That is a Wednesday because I don't like doing releases on Friday and I don't like doing releases on Monday. And so,
Careful
we
what you
can.
wish for. It, you start on you aim for a Wednesday, and before you know it, it's a Friday.
I
But
thought seriously about aiming for a Tuesday, but the Wednesday just feels a little better. So,
okay.
we'll all cross our fingers, right? Um, all right. As Rob mentioned a second ago, or as Rob kind of hinted at a second ago, there is prep underway for being able to do monthly releases. I really, really want to have the first monthly appear in November. Um, I think that if we land the VAPs in 4165, we have a pretty good shot at doing that. So I would encourage anybody who is fond of
नहीं
YAML
नहीं, वो
and
बोल रहे थे
policy and
कि
such to review
मैसेज
those.
तो मेरी मुझे अंशु ने ये बोला कि
Vikas, I
आपको
think
एकदम
you
Vikas,
clear
are you
might have.
talking to us or are you talking to somebody else?
I can mute them.
तो
Okay.
मैंने यही एग्जैक्टली मैंने इसी पे मैं
Pretty
अपडेट देखिए
confident
मैं
that's
मूव
somebody
ऑन
else
कर
because I'm
गया
pretty confident that's not
Yeah.
English. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, what I was saying was if any of y'all are the sort of person who has opinions about validating admission policy and YAML and all sorts of groovy things like that, I would strongly encourage you to review 4165. Thank you, Ricardo. I took a look at it a little while ago and it looked kind of okay to me. And then three people came up with horrible problems, and I realized that that's slightly outside my wheelhouse in some ways. Was there anything else after we have the validating admission policies? The next thing that will happen is that some combination of me and Becca will go through and actually sit down, probably with Shane, and manually build a release that only has the experimental a release of experimental content.
Yeah.
And we will carefully write down what we do in that process so we can turn it into a script for the next one. Because the goal here is to arrange it such that a monthly is literally somebody tags the repo and the artifacts come out the other side of CI.
Yeah, I think the other thing that we need is some documentation describing what it is that we're going to do. Like you already have a doc, but like something that's on our docs website a little bit
I
more
think that's an
permanent.
excellent point.
But yeah, I think we're pretty close. A huge thank you to Chris for owning this
Yes,
and
yes, indeed.
pushing it forward. There are some basic tests. He added them into the CRD test file. They're actually using the env test stuff he set up. Thank you, Ricardo. And yeah, cautiously optimistic, but Ricardo, you are the owner of all things related to env tests, so I'll defer to you to make sure this makes sense.
Yeah. Everyone might be amused to learn that I found a case in the real world this morning where my CEO at one point apparently installed standard channel 1.1 and then installed experimental experimental 1.1 and then installed standard 1.3 on top of it without realizing he had done that. And
It's very easy to do.
he got really confused when he went and looked into the CRDs. He was trying to write something, clean and neat to say, which version of these CRDs do I have installed? And found out that he had two different versions installed. Like HTTP route said 1.3 and TLS route said
Yeah.
1.1. And he's like, what the hell? So, yeah, so the whole validating admission policy seems rather more useful to me today than it did a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
It seemed pretty useful to me a couple of days ago too. So yeah. Norwin asks about goals for 1.5, which is an excellent question. I spent some time this morning looking over which GEPs were in which state and seemed like they might have be in reasonable positions to go and move forward. That was the motivation for wanting to create the project, because trying to go back to the PRs and everything turns out to be difficult and or time consuming, I should say. And Rob, you and I need to talk about getting provisional GEPs onto the web page index, because grepping in the source for things in provisional is really annoying. It's much less
So I'm
annoying
not
than
the only person with a grep like yeah.
Well, I tried to go to the web page, but no. Could have been a lot worse because at least we have metadata.md or metadata.yaml, and that's
Yeah.
that's pretty reasonable. But um, there were quite a few things in experimental that looked like they could be reasonable candidates. I kind of like the idea of TLS route personally. I The things on that list to me that look blatantly obvious would be TLS route and cores and maybe retries. And I would love to see listener set and MTLS advance. I feel like there are still questions about those, and maybe I am wrong. I'd be really happy to be wrong about that. Ricardo,
Yeah, I
you had your
think
hand up a
they're.
second ago.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I was just gonna say that listener set is one that I'm looking for as well. There is just right now just one thing that should be discussed, which is how to allow the gateway admin to know if there are listener sets attached to that or not. So that's a discussion that I'm having with David and John.
Yeah.
I would love to have someone else reviewing that, but I think that we are on a good situation, at least on the conformance test on that one as well.
Remind
there is a
me.
migration. Yeah, go for it. Sorry, Rob.
There's K Gateway here. There's Istio. We're still looking for a third, right?
Knative.
Oh,
Okay. That makes me feel better because Knative is not solo.
No. Knative was the was from
it was the initial push. Yeah.
Yes, and I have spoken with Nick, and he said that he's willing to implement that on Cilium as well. So I went to do some verification with other implementations, at least people that has been mostly involved on that. I'm not sure if the cloud providers will be willing to implement those things as well, but I know that at least Cilium, Istio, K Gateway, and Knative, they are sponsors for that.
That's excellent.
For
Rob, you were about to say, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I just kind of wanted to run through these and get a feel for, the interest level. For front-end MTLS, I'm pretty sure GK is going to sign up for this one. Norman, I think you've been involved. Does that mean you're interested in supporting this?
Yeah, so we already implemented it on our side in the current state it is. So it was a bit reshaped now with 1.4. So we implemented that part, and out of that we had some questions, especially in regards how to standardize the behavior of invalid configurations, and that's what we are now working out. I think it's only this notion of invalid configurations that we still need to clarify, and I prepared already some draft PRs for the base test for the backend MTLS, but I can also easily transform our tests into conformance tests for front-end MTLS as soon as we have everything settled around the conditions and how they should look like. Yeah. So I think the reason why I raised the question is I'm currently working on those topics, and I wasn't sure if anyone else is interested in, or if I should more focus on other things because that's not important for others at the moment. So that's the reason why I ask. So if there is enough sponsors around these topics, then I will just continue on refinement of the gap and then writing conformance tests for it.
Yeah, I know I've seen your PRs for this. Do you mind linking them in here in the? I'm trying.
Yeah, I can link the related PRs if you would like to. Cool. Yeah, can do that.
And any other implementations? These are the ones that I'm aware of. I think there are others that are paying attention here. For backend MTLS, what I think this means is the client basically specifying a client cert on a gateway to talk to.
Wait, that's what. Sorry, go ahead.
So this is not client cert validation. This is actually giving a gateway a client cert.
Yes, exactly. Right. So it's originating a TLS connection with a client certificate configured on the gateway resource.
Yeah.
See, that's what my memory was telling me front-end MTLS was, and so obviously my brain is fried.
This is validating the connection coming into the gateway. if it provides a client cert, this is validating that client cert. So yeah, but let me
Right.
yeah. Let's see, who's involved in implementing this right now? I want to say Envoy Gateway has something here, but I'm gonna be wrong if I'm gonna add a question mark. I'm pretty sure. Norwin, I think you've been involved in this. Is that fair?
Yeah, we also already implemented it as it is in 1.0.
Okay, and I'm gonna put a question mark. I don't know, Katarzyna, are you on the call? No, I don't see.
I don't see her.
Okay, so I'm just gonna put us down as a maybe. I think we're trying to do something here. And yeah, okay. And then for cores,
I don't know anything about implementations of cores. I
think it's also
that,
Envoy and us, which
I
already
seem to recall that it was
implemented
at least, basically well understood at this point.
And Envoy is currently implementing the conformance test. And I think, Ricardo, there is a PR open at least half a year, which kind of would give us the base coverage for the conformance, but I'm not sure. Sometimes it's stale, then it happened something on the PR, but I think currently it's stale, Ricardo, is that correct?
Yeah. I did a review. Shane asked me to do a review on that, but I think that it's like the person who is implemented it just like sometimes disappears and come back. But I also need to take a look because it's a massive PR. I think it's something like 2,000 lines or something like that with all of the conformance on cores.
You should probably split it into the testing part and also the thing that changes more on the test infrastructure. Make it easier to merge. I think that's the only thing missing for cores. I think it's well defined and we already have some tests in it, but that's the big test which is missing, I think.
Okay. We can probably prioritize those, at least the review of them.
Cool. Okay, and then retries.
Excuse me.
I feel like
Go ahead.
I feel like a lot of people have wanted to get retries in, and we tried and failed in the past release. This one just needs someone to drive it. I think we're still missing conformance tests altogether.
I
please
think
correct me
that's
if I'm
correct.
wrong. And then implementations. I know I'm 99% sure Istio does. I'll just leave the rest as blank for the time being.
Might be worth sticking a question mark on Istio as well. I'm not quite sure.
And then for TLS route, Ricardo, you've been doing a lot there. How does it feel? What are the gaps?
We do have conformance, a bunch of them. I can double check, but if I record correctly, there is a lot of conformance, including termination and direct. The gap PR is open, so this needs review. Me and Rusty, we've been working on that, but it needs some more people reviewing, including that we may want also to add some extension to backend TLS policy on that. So it will be probably some update on the backend TLS policy gap to support, from TLS route termination to backends.
Which implementations? I know GK is represented here by Rusty.
Istio has it already.
I'm pretty sure Cilium does, but I'll leave a
I think Cilium. Yes. I
We
know
are
that
going to implement it, but only for
K-Gateway does
egress.
as well.
Okay. Christine, do you remember if Cilium supports TLS route?
Yeah, I was just searching it up. I think it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
It does. I have just checked it.
Cool.
Nginx also supports TLS routes.
Oh, great. Okay.
Thank you. And welcome. I don't
Prefix
think I've seen your
supports
name before, Saloni.
Prefix supports it as well.
Which one? Sorry.
Traffic.
Oh, awesome. Sweet.
Nice. See,
It's going to be fun to see how many of these pass the conformance tests that Ricardo is working on.
Actually, all of them, they are kind of ready, you know. I will just review all of them.
Yeah. I mean,
what I need is people reviewing the gap.
Okay. The original, you know, we might want to add TCP route to this list as well, because those are both long-standing experimental resources that haven't changed in a while and people can use. I need to go take a look at the current state of the world for TCP route, though.
Yeah, I don't think I have bandwidth for TCP route as well. So, you know, if
yeah, I mean, it looks like we have got a ton. I think everything in this list qualifies for standard channel this release if we can get it in, and that is a lot.
Yeah, modulo, we don't yet know about implementations for HTTP route retries, but looking promising, right?
Yeah.
Key Gateway also supports HTTP route retries.
Sweet.
I'm sorry, which one was that?
Key Gateway, I think.
Yeah. Cool.
Do you support, well, David, while we have you here, do you know if you support CORS or?
Yes, I just checked those also. So CORS is supported. I'm not sure about MTLS. I can get back to you on that.
Okay.
I think we should be careful about saying MTLS there.
Yeah, I
client
mean,
validation and supplying a client cert are not really MTLS, although you can use them to implement MTLS.
A piece of the puzzle.
Yes. Yes.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, this is a useful.
That's great.
Useful reference point. Okay.
Yeah, and it will be very cool if we manage to see all of those progress. Yeah. I'll keep my fingers crossed.
And then there's some other ones here. So basically, one of the things I added the very top bullet here, and someone else, maybe Flynn, added everything else. Thank you, Flynn. So I'll hand it off to you, but just, yeah.
So Ricardo was actually asking about auth. Auth default gateways in the mesh resource are currently implementable and have not made it to experimental. We could talk about grandfathering them into the as far as sponsors, but I think it makes sense to go and find out implementations that are willing to implement them and then go from there. So if anybody is willing to implement these things, or indeed already has implemented any of these things, that would be great to know about. The other thing that's worth noting on these particular ones is I am the author of 3793 and 3949. And probably the correct thing to assume for this release is that I am going to have extremely limited bandwidth to move features while also trying to manage the release. So if anybody else is interested in default gateways or the mesh resource or out of cluster gateways, let's talk. There are 3 in implementable that we could think about moving to experimental. There are 5 GEPs in provisional, of which I think 2 are pretty reasonable candidates for moving forward. Again, if we find sponsors, 3 of them, like 1651 and 2627, appear to have been in the provisional state for quite a while. I don't actually know the backstory on those. If anybody else does, that would be interesting to hear. In particular, I'm kind of wondering if some of those should be, I don't know. We should probably talk about if there's something to do with that, if we want to use provisional as a more active state. Likewise, 3792 out of cluster gateways, not only is that, I don't even think it's really fully in provisional right now, and it will need work to move forward. That started being the thing, the mesh resource was pulled out of GEP 3792, and that leaves 3792 in sort of the text is sort of in this halfway state of partly having been modified for the mesh resource being taken out into its own GEP and partly not. So basically there's several PRs on there where if you are an implementation that is interested in doing that, we would like it if you would add your name to the GAP, or at least add your name to this document, or DM me on Slack,
Yeah, I
or
would
something, right?
as an implementation that cares about these things. One of the things we haven't figured out yet is how we track this long term. Like, throw it in a doc, comment on an issue is okay-ish for now, but
It's
we
not
probably need
great.
No, but yeah, so we do need some kind of formal process for where you as an implementation note your support or your plans.
And I'm pretty confident that the end result of that is going to be stuff in the GEP itself. Rob, I have been hoping that you and the other maintainers and I can talk about that a little bit offline. Yeah. Candace, go ahead.
I just want to provide a push for 2627 DNS configuration within Gateway API. The last update to the GEP was 5 months ago, so it's too soon for it to be rotting out with the new release process.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I would like to consider doing work on this at some point in the future.
Okay.
Yeah, and to clarify, the goal is to remove things that have made it into experimental, but we haven't set any expiration date on GEPs that haven't made it there yet. So if things are just kind of, hey, if this is provisional, something like we want to do at some point, they can stay there indefinitely.
I had the impression that was last updated longer than 5 months ago, and I'm not sure why I have that impression.
It stayed in under review for a very long time.
Gotcha. Anyway, I will definitely defer to your knowledge there, since that was only an impression. So yeah, if anybody is interested, that would be great. Actually, let me.
And I am sure there will be more than what we have on our radar here, but this is already presenting a pretty compelling list of things to think about in the next few months.
That, I think, covers what I wanted to talk about for this next release. Ricardo, to your question about external auth, yeah, it's awaiting people saying they want to implement it, or saying that they already have implemented it.
Yeah.
So that would be a lovely next step there.
Yeah.
I'm a little somewhere between pleased and frightened at the number of things that might be candidates for moving out of experimental, but that's pretty cool. And shortly we will have a project board, and I will dump all this stuff onto it, and we will use that as the place to go for, the place to go for updated truth.
Yep. Cool. All right. Just a couple small things that I've got. One, if you are going to be able to make it to KubeCon Atlanta, no pressure if you're not, but if you are, we at KubeCons spend some time trying to have some, what we call break room sessions, but basically discussions in person about some topics where we hope we can help move them forward a bit quicker. So I right now have just started to gather topics that people seem to be interested in discussing. This is, I think anyone in the world can edit this. Yeah. So have at it. And, please add your name to the list. I will try and propose sometimes, probably tomorrow, for these sessions, and then drop some in Slack. But if you see a time, if you're interested in a session and you see a time that just doesn't work for you, we'll try and shift it around as best we can. I can't guarantee that we'll be able to fit everyone here, but we'll do everything we can. This, I will be transparent. I have no idea which of these places is going to be a better fit for us. Just kind of going blind right now that there's a maintainer lounge and a community hub. I don't know which is which is a better place for discussions, but we'll start here. And if this ends up being an awful spot, we can try out community hub. But yeah, I think that's all for this one. Yeah, please add topics, add your names, and we can coordinate in Slack for anything beyond that.
I would prefer that we try to keep these into the morning if possible. Just
historically, what we've done, you can see the one on the calendar is we've scheduled these over keynote sessions, which is kind of awful, but also like
no, it's the right way to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I basically never attend keynotes, which I feel bad about, but
so this is recorded, Rob, don't tell them.
Yeah, in the past 3 KubeCons, I've seen one keynote that I wanted to attend, and then something else came up, so I watched it on video anyway. That being said, for anybody who does not attend KubeCon often, you should recognize that I am incredibly biased because I've attended a lot of them, and the hallway track is by far the most useful thing at KubeCon for me. So,
for sure, sure.
So don't let me prevent you from attending keynotes that seem interesting.
Yeah.
Unless we schedule a Gateway API thing, then you should come to the Gateway API thing. So.
and given the sheer number of topics that people seem interested in discussing, we will probably have stuff most mornings. So the themes that we've done so far have been either during keynote sessions or at the tail end of a lunch break, which nothing is perfect, but those have been the least disruptive times so far. So yeah. Okay, and then very last thing, Becca has put together, Becca and many other people have put together a blog post. Thank you everyone for getting content together. If you care about how Gateway 1.4 is represented, feedback is very welcome here. This blog post is scheduled to go out on Thursday, and that effectively means that I think we should have any reviews in today, maybe tomorrow, but probably today, because I think it really needs to merge sometime.
Today would be better.
Tomorrow. Yeah. And yeah, thanks to everyone for writing. Candace, a lot of different folks. And Candace, you've got a hand.
I just wanted to mention, I think you've already mentioned, Rob, that if you can get your conformance test reports in for your implementation, we can include them in the count that is listed, and maybe we can include them. Do we usually include the implementations that have passed the conformance tests? Or do we? Yeah. I think in the past we just
they're here.
Yeah, we know. Oh, okay.
They're here, but there's one missing, at least one missing from the list. Trafic, I know their report went in yesterday. Yesterday was supposed to be the deadline for reports. I think all open conformance PRs merged yesterday. I tried to catch all of them, but if I missed one, let me know. If you're an implementation like Trafic, for example, or if I'm saying your name wrong, but I never pronounce the name of that implementation correctly. But yeah, I noticed that one in particular is missing from this list right now. But if you feel like you should be on this list, call out to leave a comment here and try and get you included.
Okay, thanks.
Cool.
And on that note, sorry to keep dragging on my discussion.
All good.
But I just wasn't sure what was going to happen with backend TLS policy conformance, because Norwin had submitted a PR that actually got merged after, sorry, Norrin, that actually got merged after most of these conformance reports were run. So
Yeah, it's still
what
not.
is, what's the
So I open now the cherry pick that we at least can, if there is a 1.4.1, that we can include it. At the moment, it's impossible to have a conformance report where backend TLS policy and backend TLS policy SAN validation shows up on the report. So we don't know actually how many of the implementations are conformant with backend TLS policy. That's a bit the pity. We missed to include that into the conformance profile when we released 1.4. And I think we can only resolve it as soon as we have a new version out, so either 1.4.1 or 1.5, and the implementations willing to resubmit reports.
It's possible to resubmit a report where you, sorry, let me back this up. Technically, I am not speaking for what the project recommends here, but it is technically possible to install Gateway API 1.4 on your cluster and then run a conformance test using main, and then you could certainly submit a PR with those results. And then, you know, in your description of it, you say, hey, this is how to reproduce this result.
It's messy.
Yeah, I did that for Linkerd in the past, right after it became possible to run mesh conformance.
Yeah.
It you know, it feels a little dirty, but if you explain what you're doing and you're transparent about it, then it might be okay.
This is actually a very good, yeah, like, you know, patch releases would help here, but the thing that will automatically help here is monthly releases.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think +1, I think that'll be great. One thing that I will call out here is, Candace, I think your concern, if I understand it correctly, is you know, it's very possible that some of the implementations or many of the implementations listed in this blog post are not conformant with backend TLS policy. That is absolutely correct.
That's a concern.
It is right now the requirement for getting listed in this blog post or any release blog post is just that you submit a conformance report for that version of the API, not that you support, you know, all of the features, not that, you know, nothing like that. We may want to further restrict that, but right now I think I just, you know, want to build a big tent and have as many represented as possible, but it could lead to confusion. So yeah, maybe in future blog posts we can call out, you know, of the new features in this release, here are the ones that, you know, here are the implementations that are conformant with each. I don't know, but.
So one last thought on that is backend TLS policy is core, is released as core, right? Not as extended.
So I know there's a lot of discussion in Slack about that over the past with you and Nick and others. I have probably controversial view of the world there, but you know.
Oh, well, by all means, share your controversial view of the world.
You know, I would love to simplify. You know, right now we have conformance profiles. So we have gateway HTTP, mesh HTTP, gateway gRPC, you know, etc. Right, and the only things that are required in those profiles are gateway and HTTP route, and then gateway and gRPC route, and etc. Right. Everything else is considered, you know, optional or extended, including backend TLS policy. I think our layers of required and optional things are confusing. I would be very, very tempted to try to simplify this to just, you know, conformance reports listing the resources that an implementation supports. I think it gets really confusing to call a specific resource core or extended. fields within that resource make sense, but the resource themselves, I think, has been very confusing. But that it's probably worth some more discussion. But my understanding to actually answer your question, Candace, is that backend TLS policy, as it was added as an optional feature of or extended feature of the Gateway HTTP profile.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It was added as an extended. I might have. Yeah, I assumed it was core, but I guess it's not.
Yeah, I mean, I would. Yeah, I don't know. That's worth some more discussion. I don't have a good answer to that.
Okay.
Gut feel.
Yeah, we
although
don't
I
have to
think
figure it
about
out.
this. Yeah, gut feel, although I also have to think about this before, is that I am not fond of the idea of requiring an attached policy as core,
Yeah.
which I'm sure shocks everybody to hear.
Oh man, celebration time. Believe it or not, if you open up PRs and this got buried. But Guy had a absolutely massive PR that got merged last night. And to give you, okay, so I have finally found it. But a huge shout out to Guy for his persistence. 366 comments later, it has made its way in there. 49 commits. This was just a monster of a PR. It is, I think, hugely better than we were before. So just next time you see Guy, tell him thank you for his persistence and effort here.
This was an update to 7.13, right?
Yeah, basically. So we did this thing where we had split out 7.13 into like direct and indirect, I think is what, inherited, whatever we called it. And then it moves everything back into a massive super gap and adds a few more things. It still has all the disclaimers. It still has, but Guy did a phenomenal job, including detailed explanations of how policy works. It includes Flynn's parable of the risks of policy attachment. It's got a lot. So yeah, that's all I'll say. Thank you.
It's a monster.
Yeah, I feel like I added over 100 of those comments. I don't know. Sorry for whoever I got in the way of there. All right. Well, with that, I think we got 10 minutes left. If there are no remaining open topics, let's give people some time back. Hopefully we'll see some of you at KubeCon next week. And if not, we'll see you online in a couple weeks. Thanks, everyone.
Anybody?
Bye.
Going once?
Awesome. See you.
Bye.